Hello everyone, welcome to week 2 of the CFC training video. As normal, this video is not to demean or belittle or show up any fan, coaches, players, owners, mascots, or anybody associated with the game. These are strictly for training purposes only. Let's go ahead and get through these quickly. In play number 1, we've got a legal block below the waist. On the initial charge, this right tackle here cut blocks below the waist the defender. This is a legal block. Play 2, we have another legal block below the waist. This one is not on the initial charge, but the ball is still in the zone, and he was within the tackle box as well. The block is from 10 to 2. Play 3, we have an illegal block below the waist for more than one reason. Number 1, the block occurs outside the tackle box. Number 2, the ball has also left the tackle box. And if the ball were still in the tackle box and the block were in the tackle box, it would still be illegal because the block is not 10 to 2. And we actually got a flag down for that. That's a great call. Play 4 is an example of an ineligible man downfield. Remember, this is not a foul unless we have a legal forward pass. But here we can see that he is 5 yards downfield at this point. The ball was snapped at the 21, so he's close to 6. We don't want to split hairs between 3 and 4. But on this play, he's well beyond. So right now our antenna should be up, but it still is not a foul. Now that the ball has left his hands, we would have a foul at this point. The exception would be if this were legally grounded, and for example, he's throwing the ball away to a receiver near the sideline, or he threw the ball out of bounds towards the sideline and across the line of scrimmage. He's outside the pocket. But in this case, it actually is to a receiver for a touchdown. So we definitely want to foul for an ineligible downfield on that. Play 5, this is just a mechanical advice here. Line of scrimmage, guys, remember, hold the line, be patient. It's easy to do. Sometimes play starts to develop. We start to move downfield slowly. Hold the line in case the quarterback stops and throws a pass here. Also, we want to let him pass you so you can officiate from behind. We don't want to get out in front. This is a good example of no foul for defensive pass interference, even though I'm going to show some of the players here that want this. Right now, it is not a foul to have your hands on each other. Okay, we'd have to do something that creates a foul, contact that creates separation, restricts the receiver in some sort of way, hook and turn, grab and restrict, something that does something to take his feet away. Just resting an arm on his back does nothing. Looks like the receiver actually loses his footing. As you can see, the receiver doesn't show that he's upset. He's not looking for a flag. A lot of times they'll kind of give you an idea. May look ugly, but it looks like he just kind of lost his footing. But what I want to address is the players' behaviors here. Guys, players, think about it if officials were to yell at you for dropping a pass. Okay? We need to understand the rules in pass interference. If there are feet tangled, if the ball is uncatchable, there's various reasons where this may not be a foul. But at the end of the day, remember your code of conduct. Remember how you're supposed to act. It's one thing to be upset about a call. It's another thing to be demonstrative and act like this. So, players, this could get you 15. I just warn you. If you have 2 of them, it could get you removed from the game. All right, next one. This is close to a foul for an illegal formation. He's borderline. I would want to warn. We wouldn't want to foul for this because there's no advantage. There's a defender. Excuse me. There's a defender matched up against him here. But we would want to talk to this guy and tell him to scoot up a little bit. His helmet is breaking the butt of the center, or the tackle. But again, scoot up a half step or so. Here's an example of a false start. Line of scrimmage officials and actually umpire, referee, center judge Anytime we have a false start, we should all come crashing in to prevent any nonsense or dead ball crap going on. In case a player doesn't hear the whistle, doesn't know there's a whistle on the far side, we should all come in, crash it hard, killing it, and stopping the clock. Yeah, that's just a good hit on a kickoff. It's not a targeting, in case anybody's thinking it. He's a runner, so we cannot have a 914 hit on a defenseless player. It would have to be hit by the crown of the helmet, and this is shoulder to shoulder. So it's just a good example of a good hit that is not targeting. Next play here is an example of a receiver that gets pushed out of bounds. If he does not go out under his own power and comes back in immediately, he is eligible to catch the pass still. If he were to go out under his own power, he could not be the first to touch the pass. So in this case, he's forced out by a defensive back. So as long as he returns back in immediately, he is eligible to touch the pass here if the pass were thrown to him. One thing, receiver or officials, we want to get a hat down if we see this. Lets us know we got a receiver out of bounds. If we don't, that's fine. But this is the deep wings key, so we would want to see this. It's an example of this is a good spot by the back judge here. Ball bounces, it's possessed at the 25, gets a bag down, momentum, and the defenders push him all the way back to about the 15-yard line. We want to give him where he actually possessed the ball. Next play, we see we're at the 25. So good job, back judge. Here's an example of referee and line of scrimmage official Smitty. Jim Smithwick, Cecil Harrison, good job on shutting the play down. If you have him down, progress is stopped. Before the ball comes out, stay on that whistle. Cecil's blowing it. Smitty's coming in hard, blowing the whistle, pointing to the ground. Be demonstrative and let everybody know. This is a play that was ruled targeting. Unfortunately, we don't have an end zone view to confirm this, but we do have an indicator. The defender does dip his head, leads with the crown of his helmet. So if he hits the receiver anywhere directly with the crown of the helmet, we would have the foul for targeting. It does not have to be in the head, doesn't have to be in the shoulder. If that crown hits and makes contact with forcible contact, then we would have a foul for 913 targeting. Remember, targeting is a disqualification. This occurs in the second half. So he would sit the remainder of the half and the first half of the next game. He would be eligible to participate in warm-ups and pregame activities. He just would not be able to play until the second half of the next game. Notice here at the very end of the play, just have our antennas up for this type of stuff that happens. Guy comes in and tries to make contact, misses, kind of gets overlaid and thrown to the ground, but this is extra crap going on. Show our presence, try to nip that in the bud. This here is a legal pass play, odd formation. The receiver does set up in a formation all the way to the sideline, which is legal because he has become a player by going inside the numbers. So he can now go out near the sideline. Also a good example of a backward pass. Remember, it is where he catches the ball, not where it is thrown from. So if you're moving downfield on an option or a kickoff, it very easily could be thrown backward, but by the time it's touched, it's forward. This is a pretty easy one to rule. It's thrown from the 37, and it's caught at about the 35. Another good hit, not targeting, shoulder to shoulder. This is an illegal blindside block on the punt. Players reminder, this rule has been changing for the last few years, and it went to a strict change. They've been gravitating for a while, but the change was over 3 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago, where you cannot have forcible contact on a blindside block. You can screen the guy, you can hit open-handed, but even open-handed, you can have an illegal blindside block if the guy doesn't see it coming and it is forceful enough. If you notice on TV, you'll see a lot of guys putting their hands up and screening them, doing basketball screens, running by the guy, all different things. They're doing everything but knocking the guy's head off and lighting him up. So regardless of how we think this is a great hit, this is old school football, and it is no longer deemed a great play in today's modern day of football. So I encourage you to change your technique and do what you do whatever you need to do to not make hits like this. While the play is still going, see the player here is upset, worried about it, clearly doesn't understand. So players, I want you guys to understand, this is not 2010, this is not 1985, this is 2022. That foul, that block is illegal. Okay, last week on the first training video, I had an example. There was a double team. There was a hold on a double team, and I'd mentioned we should almost never have a foul for holding on a double team block, unless that person being blocked escapes and is pulled back into that double team where he separates himself, then is pulled in. You could have a hold there. And this, the guys on the bottom are an example here. You have a 2-on-1, so it's pretty much deemed that he's not going to win that battle. However, if he does, and they pull him back, that's where we're going to have a foul. Okay, right here. And he does work. He gets through. Right here, he separates. He's now escaped the double team, and he gets pulled back. Okay. Now the ball does go out of bounds the other way, so you can use your judgment on that. It would penalize the PSK enforcement on a shanked ball, so it would actually penalize the receiving team, which in the spirit of the rule would be the good intent. However, the ball is shanked, goes out on the other side. It's not a body slam takedown, so philosophically, if you don't call it, I would expect you at least go in and talk to him and let him know. Okay, this is a targeting foul. I believe targeting was called. We don't have the actual NCAA reports, so I'm not 100% sure. But the defender here launches, so we have that indicator, and then he leads with the crown of his helmet. So even if he doesn't hit with the crown of his helmet, the receiver is still in the act of trying to catch a pass, so the receiver is deemed defenseless. So it also would be qualify for Rule 914, which would be hit on a defenseless player in the head or neck area. So I think either way, this could qualify for either rule of targeting. He definitely leads with the crown of the helmet and launches. We don't have another angle, but it looks like he hits in the head or neck area as well. Receiver is still defenseless. Good news is we have two flags on this. Usually when you have two flags, you've got two looks. That's usually a very good sign. See, lines them up. Really has no intention of actually trying to play the ball. Defenders, we can tell when you're not playing the ball, when you're just going to light somebody up. Right now, our indicators should go up. Side judge, line of scrimmage, umpire, back judge. We start to see this. Our antennas should go up when we have that angle for a potential targeting foul here. And you may hit him in the chest. If you hit him in the chest, it wouldn't be Rule 914 because it's not in the head or neck area. But if you hit him in the chest with the crown, it could be under 913. Either one would qualify. So again, we don't quite have the angle to confirm this with the indicators, but at minimum, I think it would be a great call for unnecessary roughness call. Good job, guys. This here is a defensive pass interference. Deep wings, you always have the widest guy. This is your key, so we got to stay with our keys, especially when he's in pressed coverage. Pass is definitely going to be catchable. The defender, it looks like they're in a zone. He releases them to the linebacker or safety, but he cuts him off in his route, and the ball lands less than 5 yards from where he is. If he's not cut off, he may be able to dive. He may catch that in stride and beat this defender here. So we've got to stay with our keys. That would be a foul for defensive pass interference. And remember, if it's within 15 yards, it is a spot foul. If it's more than 15 yards, it would be previous spot. And it looks like previous spot is the 25. So this pass interference occurs at the 41. So we would go back to the previous spot, and the ball would be placed at the 40-yard line on the original hash, position 2. So it'd be the same spot. Previous spot, 15 yards. Bottom line, stay with our keys, gentlemen and ladies. Okay, let's play up here. We've got, this is close. If the offense times the snap right, sometimes they're so quick and it looks like they false start. I'm not saying this is a foul or not, but either way, if we're going to call a false start, we're going to shut a play down. Line of scrimmage officials, umpires, referee, again, we need to come in on our whistle and come crashing hard, shutting the play down so that we don't have any extracurricular activity going on. Here, see the play starts to develop a little further, and luckily nobody body slams anybody, but this could lead to further issues. So make sure you come crashing in hard until everybody stops. Okay, put this play in just for an example of sidelines. This is more for coaches, players. Remember, there are a couple of lines on that sideline. It's a little bit tougher to see on this Smurf field, but there's first a thicker line on the sideline. That is the officials' area. That's not the coaches and the officials. So there's the first area that's 3 feet or 3 feet wide. That is all officials. The back of that line is the coaches' line. The coaches' line goes for another 3 feet. The back of that line is the player's line. Okay, so somewhere in here is going to be your coach's line. The officials are going to be up here, and players should be back behind this second line. Okay, coaches, we don't mind if you step up to call your play. If you step out on the field, call your play. What we want you to do is step back after you call your play and the snap is imminent. Okay, players, we need you back for safety reasons, so we can work that sideline. But also, if we have tight sideline plays, we need to be able to see. Okay. Lastly, if we do have any change of possessions where we're switching offense to defense, special teams, we need to wait till the play is over before we go heading out. So if you're further back, it allows that 6 feet before you get to the sideline. We've got officials running up. You're less likely to run into them. Sideline officials, you guys can work with the players here and get the sidelines cleaned up for your safety as well. See if that were a tight sideline play, or if there's an interception, we had to run up that sideline, we have players in our way. And if we run into any players or coaches, it's a 15-yard foul. Okay, so the last play here, an example of a horse collar foul. Not quite saying it is or not. It's a tough angle, but put it in just because I thought there's a couple of good pointers on it. Everybody that you see a lot of grasps up high near that horse collar area, and everybody wants a flag. Number one, he needs to be pulled down immediately. But number two, typically, if he falls forward, it's not a foul, but sometimes it still can be. If he goes sideways or backwards in the air, in the name of safety, get a flag down. If we see the buckling of the legs, get a flag down. If you're not sure, get a flag down. Guys, grab somewhere else besides the horse collar to make these tackles. Now, the exception is if a running back or a quarterback is still within that tackle box and a D lineman horse collars him to make the tackle, that's not a foul because obviously they're being blocked and things. Any way you can bring a guy down, shut the face mask or tripping him is okay. But once it gets outside that tackle box, you need to tackle him normally. Okay, you see the legs buckle there, so it looks like we'd definitely be supported if we got a flag down here. Okay, and one last reminder here. Just wanted to, something that I touched on in week 1, showed on the video. Deep wings, field and side judges. Remember, you have inside the 2 to the goal line. I'm continuing to see deep wing officials come up and try to take spots, even when the ball snapped at the 20-yard line, the line of scrimmage guy is going down to the 12 to spot the ball, and we've got deep wings coming up from the 3 all the way to the 12 trying to take the spot instead of being at the goal line where you're supposed to be. If you're not sure, deep wings, if you don't have the mechanics manual, reach out to me. I'll send it to you again. I've sent it a few times, but it's no problem. I'll be happy to send it again. It's important that we be in the right position. That's the benefit of having 7 and 8 officials, is we always have the goal line cover. So you are not taking spots unless it's inside the 2. Okay, so deep wings, just focus on that and review your mechanics. Other than that, I appreciate everybody. Seeing some good stuff, and really appreciate everybody's hard work. So have a great week, and take care.